They say the body knows before the mind does. They say your gut instinct is a survival mechanism. But for me, it wasn't my instinct. It wasn't my intuition. It was a routine checkup on a quiet Tuesday morning that shattered my entire existence. I walked into that clinic a happy wife. I walked out a woman with a target on her back. My gynecologist didn't just check my health that day. She uncovered a web of lies that had been spun around me for years. And when she finally told me the truth, I realized that the man sleeping next to me wasn't just a stranger. He was a monster. This is the story of how a medical exam saved my life and how I destroyed the man who tried to ruin me. To understand why this hurt so much, you have to understand who we were, or who I thought we were. Mark and I had been married for 12 years. 12 years of Sunday brunches, shared bank accounts, and finish each other's sentences kind of love. We were the couple our friends were jealous of. No scandals, no screaming matches. He was a consultant, traveled occasionally, but he always FaceTimed me to say goodnight. That Tuesday morning was completely normal. I remember sitting in the waiting room of Dr. Stevens' office. I'd been going to Dr. Stevens for 5 years. She's kind, maternal, the type of doctor who asks about your vacation before she asks about your symptoms. I was scrolling on my phone, looking at recipes for lasagna, Mark's favorite. I was thinking about whether he'd be home early enough to eat with me. I felt calm, safe, certain of my life. I had absolutely no reason to worry. When the nurse called my name, I smiled and followed her down the hallway. I hopped onto the exam table, the paper crinkling underneath me, making small talk about the weather. Dr. Stevens came in, smiling her usual warm smile. The examination began the way it always did. Casual questions, how are the vitamins working, any headaches? But then, suddenly, the rhythm changed. She stopped talking. It wasn't an abrupt stop. It was a slow fade into silence. The room grew heavy. I looked up at the ceiling tiles, counting the dots, waiting for her to say, "All done." But she didn't. I turned my head. She was staring at the monitor, then at her notes. Her brow was furrowed, not in confusion, but in recognition. Her expression shifted, slowly, carefully, as if she was trying to compose her face before looking at me. She didn't want to alarm me, but the silence was deafening. I gripped the edge of the table so hard my knuckles turned white. "What are you saying?" She said, quietly, "It means someone close to you hasn't been honest. The tests will confirm it, but I've seen this enough times to know you are being exposed to risks that you didn't sign up for." I wanted to scream at her. I wanted to tell her she was a terrible doctor. Doctors make mistakes, right? Tests get mixed up. But she held my gaze. She was certain, and she was compassionate. She told me, "I believe you are being betrayed, and you need to protect your health immediately." I drove home in a daze. I don't even remember the drive. I sat in my driveway for 20 minutes staring at the garage door. I didn't confront Mark that day. I couldn't. I needed to be sure. Instead, I became an actress in my own life. I cooked the lasagna, I poured the wine, but I watched him. I really saw him for the first time in years. I noticed the way he showered immediately, the second he walked through the door. He used to hug me first, now straight to the bathroom, scrubbing away the evidence. I noticed he bought new underwear, expensive ones. Mark had worn the same brand of cotton boxers for a decade. Suddenly, he cared about silk. That night, he kissed my forehead and asked me, "How was your day, honey?" I looked at his lips, lips that had kissed someone else hours before, and I said, "It was fine." He smiled. He believed me. And in that moment, I realized how easily I had been fooled. He thought I was stupid. 3 days later, Dr. Stevens called me personally. Not the nurse, her. She confirmed the results. It was a specific strain of infection that is rare, often carried by someone with multiple partners. Then she said something that made my chest tighten. "Judging by the progression, this hasn't been weeks, honey. This has been happening for at least 2 years." 2 years. 2 years of anniversaries, 2 years of I love yous, 2 years of lying to my face every single morning. That evening, I didn't scream. I didn't throw his clothes on the lawn. I was past anger. I was in a state of cold, hard clarity. I sat across from him at the kitchen table while he ate his dinner. I said, I went to the doctor on Tuesday. He didn't look up. Oh yeah? Everything good? I took a sip of water. She found something that only comes from infidelity. He froze. His fork stopped halfway to his mouth, just for a second, but I saw it. He put the fork down slowly. What? That's ridiculous. Doctors don't know everything. You probably picked something up from a public restroom or... Don't. I cut him off. Do not insult my intelligence right now, not after 2 years. The color drained from his face. He looked like a ghost. 2 years? He whispered. How? I leaned forward. My doctor didn't just find an infection mark. She found the timeline. She found the truth you thought you washed off in the shower. He tried to stammer, to find an excuse, but he crumbled. He put his head in his hands. You weren't supposed to find out like this, he whispered. I stood up. I felt 10 feet tall. There was no good way for me to find out, Mark, because you were never going to tell me. I left that night. I took my essentials, my dignity, and I walked out the door. It wasn't easy. The divorce was messy. I found out later it wasn't just one woman, it was a lifestyle he had hidden from everyone. But the hardest part wasn't losing him. It was mourning the woman I used to be, the woman who trusted blindly. But I also gained something. That doctor didn't just protect my physical health. She saved my future. She saved me from wasting one more day on a lie. Sometimes the truth doesn't come from a confession. It comes quietly, from science, from a test result, from someone who has no reason to lie to you. If there's one thing I've learned, it's this. Listen to the silence, watch the changes, and when a professional tells you something is wrong, believe them. Because your body keeps the score, even when your heart refuses to keep track. I'm single now. I'm healing. And for the first time in a long time, when I smile, it's real.